Howdy doody. Welcome to episode 146 of TDI. This is Dr. O on the horn. I'm joined as always by the one and only Ricky Flicks. Today we have a very special episode, and this is one of the first checkups that will be primarily hijacked by the trailer roundup. We are getting a lot of trailers for awards season. We're pumped to talk about it. A lot of great directors that we're going to be discussing today, whether it be the two that we mentioned in the intro, whether it be Rian Johnson, whether it be Sofia Coppola. A lot of talk, a lot of directors here, Ricky Flex. How pumped are you?
This is the greatest trailer roundup we've ever had.
Uh-huh.
It's not even close. Yes, the Batman is the greatest trailer we've ever done here on the Drive-In podcast that we've covered, and none of these even come close to that. But all the trailers that we're going to be talking about today, these movies were on our most anticipated top billing. Like top 5, I would probably say, for all of these non-superhero. Yeah. So this is huge. This is a big episode.
Buckle up, folks. It's gonna be a big one.
But the thermometer predictor is going to be hot.
Oh my God, we're doing that. We're doing that this episode. Thermometer predictor. Ricky Flex, warm up the graphics, right? Get on the horn here. I can't wait to talk about it. But before we get to the trailer roundup, we do have to talk about some movie news because there's some jaw-dropping news here. First off, I mentioned Sofia Coppola. Okay. Not even, is it Sofia Coppola or is it Ford Coppola? I'm not sure what she goes by. I think it's
Sofia Coppola.
I think it's just Sofia Coppola.
Correct.
Okay. She is making a new movie titled Priscilla. This is a movie based on Priscilla Presley's memoir, Elvis and Me. It's going to be distributed by A24, most popular independent film studio in the world right now. Everything Everywhere All at Once. How are you? Lighthouse. How are you? Good Time. How are you? You know the drill. So we have Kaylee Spaney, who's most famously known for On the Basis of Sex, playing Priscilla Presley. You also have Jacob Elordi from Euphoria. Shout out Zendaya, second Emmy win, right? Back-to-back years for her. They will star as Priscilla and Elvis for the Sofia Coppola production. Ricky Flex, what are your initial reactions on having a second rendition of Elvis in such a short span of time following the highly critically acclaimed, I should say, performance of one Austin Butler?
It's crazy to me how they announced this just now when Elvis just got on HBO Max. It's starring in every single HBO Max trailer that's been huge for the past week, right? HBO Max, they've been advertising like nobody's business around this NFL Week 1 slate. And Elvis is a big topic there. Austin Butler, as of right now, is an Oscar, not like Best Actor nom right now before the fall and winter slate.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's crazy to announce it right now. But, and like I was skeptical for sure because Jacob Elordi, I haven't seen Euphoria, but like he's known for besides Euphoria, the Kissing Booth series on Netflix or movies or whatever on Netflix.
Don't do that to him.
Honestly, that's like besides Euphoria and that, I don't know what else he's in. So if he's playing Elvis, again, he's a good looking dude and he has like the black hair. Like I could picture him like being transformed to looking like Elvis, but this isn't impersonation only. He's got to act too. If you give the nod of approval from a Euphoria, then okay. The reason why I'm not as skeptical is because Sofia Coppola, Oscar winner, Lost in Translation, and A24. That's huge combination there. That puts the stamp of approval for me. And last thing I'll say is, yes, this is like kind of hot in the streets, right? Like announcing this now, like getting this done now, right after Elvis and Austin Butler's success, box office kind of success. But I kind of look at it similar to GameStop. Remember the GameStop movie that was announced? And we were like rolling our eyes. Do we forget the cast of that movie? Paul Dano, Sebastian Stan, Seth Rogen, Pete Davidson, Craig Gillespie is directing it. So like that's looking good too. So I'm not putting this past. Like when I first saw this, before I saw Sofia Coppola and A24 was attached, I was like, what are we doing? But then when I saw Sofia Coppola, A24, and thinking, oh, they still have to put everything else together, a whole cast. kind of put together the written story, adapt it from the memoir you talked about, and actually film it, it's going to be years. Similar to the GameStop movie, it's going to be years. So by then, yeah, I think everyone will like to see more Elvis. Now, if Austin Butler wins an Oscar for playing Elvis, then yeah, this is going to be tough to follow. But he hasn't yet. We'll see.
Before I get to the Priscilla and the A24, Sofia Coppola, Elordi, Spani, and all that stuff, I do want to say, you mentioned the GameStop movie. That's going to be the next Big Short. I'm calling it now. Craig Gillespie.
That's a great call.
The cast. It's the next Big Short. But I will say, this one I'm not as sold. I'm not sold on this movie just based on the fact that did they even think about offering the role, just like having Austin Butler come back as Elvis?
No, I didn't see that at all.
Like,
you can't do that again. He's on
it
to
is
bigger and better things too.
His performance was almost universally accepted as the best part about that movie. You know, it's hard for an actor like Jacob Elordi, who's known for TV and he's known for Netflix like rom-coms, to all of a sudden step into this role. Yes, he's a great looking dude, right? He could probably pull off the looks, but does he have the chops? I'm not exactly sold. And I'm a fan of Euphoria, bro. And I want you to watch that show, Ricky, because I want you to recap it like for like 3 minutes on every episode. I think that'd be awesome for content. And I think I would love your reactions to that show because it's a wild show. It is so wild. And especially Jacob Elordi's character, Nate Jacobs. You've probably seen the memes and stuff. Like it's something else. I like how Jacob Elordi's going into like movies now. And he's not just stuck in this like jock from Euphoria. Like we have something to build off here. And it's a big jump when you're going A24 Elvis, right? We've seen Elvis go right. We've seen Elvis go wrong, right? Like the best version of Elvis, we're talking about obviously Butler, but we've seen like Michael Shannon play Elvis and it has gone haywire. You know, what can he do here? Is he going to be more than a pretty face? I'm not going to say I'm exactly sold. Kaylee Spani, as I said before, I'm not really sure. I don't know much about this actress. Like she was on the basis of sex, but when you brought up Lost in Translation, it's like one of the best movies of the 21st century, and you're talking about the daughter of one of the greatest directors that have ever lived. And I trust this adaptation, but I'm not exactly sold, right, that people are going to accept it or receive it warmly following Austin Butler's performance. I think it's a little too soon. Even no matter how much you think, how much time's going to go by, and how cringy it sounds at this time, I don't think it's enough time where people are going to be like, yes, we want another Elvis rendition. That's my thoughts.
We needed an Elvis biopic, a proper one. And I don't think what we got was proper.
A proper one.
But a proper one. No, I don't think it was.
Rest in peace,
the performance was. So, yes, we got what we've always wanted. So it's tough to follow that. Like, we are satisfied. We finally, the wait is over. We did it.
It's almost like we were waiting for
that. Kamala Harris, Joe, we did it, or whatever she says. We did it, guys. So now why are we doing this? I
feel like the Butler performance is so similar to like Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury by the fact that people wanted to see that for a feature-length movie for such a long time. And it was enough where it's like, okay, I don't have to see another person play Freddie Mercury for such a long time, right? We want to see Sacha Baron Cohen, right? It doesn't pan out. They want to make he's not in the same wavelength with the band Queen, right? Regarding the Queen movie,
right?
Here it's like, okay, Austin Butler gives us the performance. Like, okay, that honored Elvis very well. I don't want to see someone mess it up right after we got it right, you know?
Right.
And it's a risk. Maybe he kills it, but even if he does kill it, what if Austin Butler gets nominated for an Oscar?
He's always going to be in Austin Butler's shadow. That's tough.
Right. Exactly.
I just want to say one thing. Kaylee Spani.
Mm-hmm.
You know what shows she was just in last year?
Only thing I know is on the basis of sex. I don't know anything else.
She was in Mare of Easttown.
No way. Which one was she?
She was Aaron.
The one who dies in the beginning?
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
But yeah, the flashback, she's in it throughout. So yeah, that's her.
Mare of Easttown, banger. One of my favorite shows last, I want to say 5 years. One of the best seasons of television. I put it up there, probably top 10, right? We always bring up True Detective season 1. I think it's Mare of Easttown's a top 10 season of television. It's that freaking
really good. It's really
Kate
good.
Winslet. My favorite project that Kate Winslet's done, other than Titanic, probably.
Hot take. I like it better than Titanic.
Come on, dude.
I'd rather watch Mare of
Rose.
Easttown than Titanic.
Rose.
3 hours of Titanic.
Dude, she murdered as Rose.
Yeah.
Let's move on with the checkup. Jacob Laughlin has been cast in Joker 2. Younger actor, not very well known. He's been in projects such as the Maze Runner films as a secondary character. He starred alongside Ty Sheridan and Matthew McConaughey in Mud. He also was in the show The Sun. He's going to play an Arkham Asylum inmate in Joker 2. He joins secondary characters, supporting cast members, Brendan Gleeson and Catherine Keener. Brendan Gleeson, everyone knows Brendan Gleeson, going to be in Banshees of Inisherin. All right, freaking collaborator with Martin McDonagh. Catherine Keener, probably best known in recent memory for Get Out, right? Her banging the teacup. So any impressions here? Are we potentially going to see an expansion of the Joker mythos here when it comes to Gotham? And are we going to get like Laughlin as potential villain that sparks up a relationship with Arthur Fleck in prison? Potential Scarecrow people are talking about. Any thoughts?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Everyone's saying Scarecrow. And again, this is like one of those things where I've said on the podcast before, but I'll say it again. Like, he's one of those guys that, like, in the images they show on Twitter when this was announced, like whoever reported it, and then when people like post pictures of this guy, you're like, oh, he kind of has that look of Scarecrow. Like, he does have that look that he could play a psycho, like a mass murderer. Like, that's kind of like rude to say.
Yeah,
but he does have that based
off.
It's like
the guy from Stranger Things. That whenever the last season, whenever he gets cast, we're like, okay, yeah, he's playing a serial killer most likely.
Right, like David Dalshiman, the polka dot, and
that's Malchian.
Yeah, like he's gonna be like an absolute psychopath, like schizo or
no
something.
Matter what.
Like,
no matter what,
and no matter what. So,
dude, he's gonna be freaking weird, and he was.
Yeah, just weird. Yeah. So yeah, but again, like I'll say, I liked him in Mud. Like people forget that's a good movie, really good movie. McConaughey, that was on his comeback trail. Like that was right. That kind of like that didn't like solidified it was Dallas Buyers Club, Wolf of Wall Street the following year in 2013. But Mud, unreal movie. Very good McConaughey performance. That was kind of like the start of his comeback a little bit.
It's one of the best examples of an indie movie that helped catapult a major actor's career. You know,
right?
It's like we're in the doldrum. Let's try with an indie movie. All right, let's put on some talented young actors. Okay, see how they do. Boom, it hits, and then you get all those major roles afterwards. You know, it was like what he needed to get the ball rolling. It's like the type of movies that like acclaimed directors watch rather than the mainstream blockbusters that most audiences watch. You know, they get a glimpse of that. Okay, let's put him in the next project.
Right, and he was also in Free State of Jones. Also mentioned on this podcast.
I didn't.
Oscar bait movies.
That movie had potential, bro, and I think it wasn't bad. It just was too long. McConaughey was fine in it. Mahershala Ali also pretty good in it, but it was just entirely too long. It was like a 3-hour movie where it should have been like a little less than 2.
The acting, I don't think, was the problem. It wasn't put together properly. I think I don't want to. You can go back to our Oscar bait top billing. Like,
I would love to rewatch that movie and see what I think about it now.
Yeah, but in all, I like the casting here, and it does seem like everyone's saying Scarecrow. He's got to be someone big, and you know, in Joker they allude to Bruce Wayne, so maybe they're just alluding to it. It's maybe not just like he's going to be Scarecrow, so there's going to be a Scarecrow spinoff or whatever. No, it's just like maybe he's just in it as Scarecrow, and then that's it. Like, oh, okay, good reference to Gotham and to Batman,
right? And like, I'm hoping that like maybe it's just his name's Jonathan Crane. Like maybe there's no like actual like drugs that he's experimenting with, like messing with people. Maybe it's something that it's just like, okay, here's a name mentioned. It seems like the original Joker, it wasn't completely all in on Batman mythos. Yes, it has like the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, but other than that, like it doesn't honor like the Joker origins very well. It tries to do its own thing. Okay, there's Joker that's much older than like Batman or Bruce Wayne at that point. It seems like it's just okay. Here's something that the fans will like potentially. Let's get Jonathan Crane in here, who is notoriously one of the most famous members of Arkham Asylum. So it's I don't know if it's going to lead to anything, but And I don't even know if it is going to be Jonathan Crane. It's just like the possibility of that and them honoring Batman mythos. I kind of like that. All right.
Yeah.
Next up, Sean Levy says they're working to build out the Stranger Things universe. And quote, now that I'm spending time with Kevin Feige, because he's working on Deadpool 3, I'm learning a lot about how to manage a universe. So I'm taking those skills and applying them to what he's calling the STCU, end quote. Ricky Flex, what do you think about the idea of Stranger Things expanding into a larger universe?
So he tweeted out today or on the 13th that it was a joke.
Yeah.
That
no. That he's working. No. Not the STCU. That's a real thing.
No, that the Deadpool collab.
Yeah, sorry.
And if you watch the interview, like on the red carpet of the Emmys, he didn't look like he was obviously like having a good time, but like he went out of his way to say that. And the guy was like, "Is that real?" And the guy was like, "Yeah." And he basically said yes. So like,
you can't joke about that.
Yeah, and I don't think he was. I think he probably did have conversations with Ryan Reynolds, saying like, "Would it be funny if we did this?" And then they thought like, "Oh, maybe we can." And then he said that, and then Kevin Feige was probably like, "What the hell are you doing? Never say that again." And then he's like, "Oh, I'll tweet something out to make it seem like a joke." That's what I think happened.
There's going to be in the next Deadpool movie. There's going to be a mention, obviously, of Stranger Things because Sean Levy's directing. You know, that's natural. Whether they show up, no, that's crazy. But like, yes, they'll be mentioned.
Yeah, but Stranger Things universe. I think you tweeted this out. I agree that it's crazy that they're doing a universe. Like, what is this? And Netflix, on their earnings call, they said that they want like a Harry Potter type universe or like a Marvel. They want like a franchise. And they said that Stranger Things is not that. They said that. Reed Hastings said that Stranger Things is not that universe. Bro, it is. And that sucks. For at least I think that sucks. That you don't want that. I don't think that's strong enough IP. And that's what Reed Hastings is saying, but I think that's all they got. So if they're gonna cut cash flows and not give all this crazy money away anymore, like they've already done, then like this is what it's gonna be, man. Like this is your most reliable count-on universe that you can build from. And that's not good for Netflix.
To me, I don't think it's a good idea because I never thought the subsequent seasons of Stranger Things were planned out very well in terms of the villains that appeared. I think it's a little confusing, like the Demogorgon into the Upside Down, Vecna. Like to me, it's never made much sense, and I didn't see the overall vision for it. It seems like they're making up rules as they go, and you can't really do that when you have like a cinematic universe. And I think Kevin Feige understands that, right? Everything's interconnected, and everything is going to be judged by audiences. I can't see also other stories that I want to go beyond these actors as young kids. I don't know what I would prefer. And I think maybe a prequel could be something in the works. Robert Englund, okay, what we saw recently with Vecna and season 1, or season what we just have 4,
right?
Like if we have Robert Englund's story that's being told,
comes back.
We already pretty much got that in flashbacks though. It's like you can't do a prequel, you would have to do a sequel if anything. It just doesn't seem like it's lining up. I don't really have a passion to see any of these actors, right, other than Millie Bobby Brown in the future.
I don't have a passion to see anybody.
You don't want to see? You don't think Millie Bobby Brown's good, bro? She's good.
But this is it. Like this is her core thing. Like the actual show. She's the protagonist. Like
yeah, I'm saying like if there's a continuation, like she moves along with her life, and then she has to like face some demons down the road. Like I would watch a spin-off series. It's almost like the X-Men, how they had Logan like have his own trilogy afterwards, like the Stranger Things universe. Then you have a trilogy with Millie Bobby Brown as 11.
Okay,
I'll take that. I don't want anything else. You know.
I see where you're going with this. I like that idea. My thing is, Millie Bobby Brown. She's gonna move on.
Not if they make movies better.
You think? I think she's Enola Holmes 2 that's coming out. She's done the Godzilla trilogy, but that's before like that was like kind of like
Stranger Things is bigger than anything she's ever done, bro.
I know, that's why I think she wants to use it as a platform but then move on from it.
Stranger Things is so massive. It is so big. I think they can make a Netflix movie If they want to make a cinematic universe, you can't just make TV shows.
Okay, then this is my request. If they do what you said, I want her to like develop as like she goes to school, she gets smart, she understands the world. That's what I want. I'm done with like Dumb 11. That's rude. That's mean to say. I'm done. I can't handle.
I'm done with Dumb 11. I don't want to see her beating the crap out of people with the roller skates anymore.
just say she got freaking friends. Say that she got a tutor and became smart. Like, I don't know.
I'm done with Dumb 11. I need her to go to fucking school. Excuse my French. I need her to actually gain. I need her to open a goddamn textbook. You know, I am so sick of her not being socialized to the American school system. We need her to get her crap together.
What was that in season 4? Like, who's your hero, or like when she said Hopper?
That was the latest season.
Yeah, no, but like, what did she say? Like, pick a famous person in history, and she picked her dad. Like, what are we doing?
Like, give me a founding father, 11. Just give me a founding father.
Freaking just pick. Abraham Lincoln. Easy. Boom.
Could you just not be so weird? Could you just not be such a weirdo and such a psycho? Just give a normal answer. Can you like blend in, get socialized?
Cut it with the waffles.
That's one of your pancake. It's one of your best takes, Ricky, to be honest. If you want to see the future of 11, just like stop being dumb. I can't go another season of her being dumb. She's been dumb since she was 8 years old.
Imagine if they have a trilogy after Stranger Things, and it's her being normal 11. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah, you can't just all of a sudden like be going to Harvard, bro. Like, we gotta see her to community college to start. Minimum.
Yeah, just like, like get a job like with Miles or whatever that guy's name is at the pizza. Like, get some like interrelationship.
Is his name Miles? Or did you just assume that the Hawaiian pizza guy? It's definitely not Miles. You made that up.
I did. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But like, I don't know. Get some interpersonal skills, communication skills. Get a job. I don't know. Figure it out.
For those listening that don't know who we're talking about, Jonathan's best friend, the guy who just smokes pot all day. Forgot his name. I don't think it's Miles.
I'm gonna look it up while you go.
I love that. That is one of the funniest things I think it's ever happened in this podcast. I just want to see a trilogy where 11 is just not dumb.
It's a good take.
That is so funny. We gotta move on. I think it's the perfect.
I don't know how we move on.
There's no one else that we. There's no one else that we talk about. There's no one else. There's no one else we can talk about. We don't want to see anybody. Hopper, I think he's like, it's inevitable he's going to die at some point, I think.
Will he? This was the perfect time for him to die.
The characters are aged out. Yeah, I think there's really I can't see another universe unless you like adopt more kids into the universe and you go into the 90s, you know? It's like X-Men is going like 80s, 90s, and even they go like back into the 60s. Like, you can do something like that. Like, okay, this next generation of kids living in Hawkins, but like, dude, like, you gotta move towns. Like, you can't just have like Hawkins. Hawkins is decimated right now. Decimated. People are moving out left and right. You need to have a new generation of kids, different location. Maybe people that are impacted by the same upside down or something.
No, this is what it would be. It would be a prequel with new kids, and it would be the 60s. I don't know. Like, it'll be something like that. And also, it's Argyle.
Yeah, fucking Miles. What?
I don't know.
All right, let's move on. Dumb 11. Dude, I'm losing it. I don't think I can keep. I can't stay serious. Like, if I think about it, I'll start laughing. All right. Last thing on the check before we get to our highly anticipated show, the roundup, that somehow live up to this checkup. Little House of the Dragon news. Check out the recaps that we've had previously on the Drive-In podcast on our feed. But Millie Alcock and Emily Carey, their final appearances as Rhaenyra Targaryen and Alicent Hightower are going to be in the next episode of House of the Dragon, episode 5. And there are, quote, discussions about them potentially coming back for season 2, but nothing is certain. I imagine that will be used minimally for flashbacks, end quote. I don't have who said that quote, but it's something that was stated by someone from the show.
I thought it was Emily Carey.
I would assume. I believe so.
Yeah.
The quote I had a
Who's
picture
Allison
next to
Hightower?
it. Allison Hightower. She said the quote. Kind of expected, right? Any expectations for the next episode? Do you think they're going out with a bang?
Yeah. Yeah. This episode is monstrous. Absolutely monstrous. They cannot have the last time they see these characters and not have a huge episode, especially after what's happened right now. Like we've talked about it like every recap pod, the first 4 episodes, and how it's like, oh, this episode's setting up the rest of House of the Dragon. Like this is setting it all up. But this is actually setting it all up because they're no longer in the show and they're gonna do a huge time jump. So they gotta set up like the next characters, like themselves. They have to set up themselves. So it's huge. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Yeah, you still got the giggles. So do I. I think I'm looking forward to the wedding setting because, like, historically, Game of Thrones, red wedding. Obviously, no teasers here. Especially, I don't want to do that. We haven't talked about She-Hulk episode 3, but like they did like major spoilers for The Sopranos for whatever reason. I feel like there are some shows that you just never spoil. It doesn't matter how much time has gone by. In my opinion, that's my take on it. You just don't spoil. So like I'm not going to say anything about the wedding
everyone
situation.
Has to watch them at some point.
Yeah, everyone's heard of the red wedding, but you don't know exactly what happens. I'm not going to tell audiences what happens. I'm not going to say, oh, it's been 5 years. I'm not judging you if you watch The Sopranos now. I watched Sopranos during the first time during the pandemic. So like I'm not going to talk about this wedding, right? And the most famous wedding in the history of Game of Thrones. But at this major event, they're going to go out with a bang. And there's going to be a time jump enough where there's going to have like I think we're going like multiple decades, potentially 1 or 2 decades after, right, the events of this next episode. So I think there's going to be long-lasting ramifications. I'm just sad that we're missing Millie Alcock because I think her performance last episode was so stellar. Okay. And I think her overall, I think she's been very good. And same with Allison. Like she's been great as well. Emily Carey. I'm just disappointed we're not going to see him again because we're getting Matt Smith continuing his character, but like the other two just look too young. It's impossible, right? They're just going to look bad in prosthetics.
Yeah, I just want to harp back on the like not spoiling anything. Like that reminded me of like, and when you said like, oh, like I'm not going to judge you if you haven't seen The Sopranos yet or Game of Thrones. But that reminded me of Sex Tape, Jason Segel and Cameron Diaz movie. And like they lose, like obviously they have a sex tape and they give it, and their friends are like Rob Corddry. And they're like, we're watching. Legend. They're like hiding the fact that they're hiding a fact that they're watching something. And Cameron Diaz is like, what are you watching? And then they're like so scared to tell him. They're like, we're watching Breaking Bad. Like we haven't seen Breaking Bad. And that's what I think of every time someone's like,
I remember nothing from that.
Yeah, that movie's but Rob Corddry's hilarious in everything he does. He's the for people listening, he's also the Harold and Kumar, like the FBI agent, Hot Tub Time Machine,
Danger Zone.
Yeah, so
Guantanamo Bay. He's like one of the few like comedy legends that went under the radar in the late 2000s. Hot Tub Time Machine. Guantanamo Bay was more like mid 2000s. Sex Tape was a later 2000s movie. Do you remember we saw Sex Tape with our grandpa?
No, we saw Bad Teacher.
Bad Teacher.
That was wild. The boob job.
It's a bad one to mess up there. It's a bad one to mess up. Yeah, it was our dad, Big Mike, I believe. Our dad and our uncle, and we saw Bad Teacher, which is it's basically it's almost like the same universe as
it
was like an early comedy cinematic universe between Sex Tape and Bad Teacher. I want to say they're like 2 years apart. I assume you're looking that up right now.
Yeah, so guess what year Sex Tape was?
2010.
Okay, and then guess what year Bad Teacher was?
Actually, I got to rethink this. Sex Tape, I guess, post 2010. I'm guessing Sex Tape is 2011. And I'm guessing Bad Teacher was 2009.
Okay, well, you're right that Bad Teacher came first, which was 2011.
They're both.
Sex Tape was 2014.
Oh my God, was that late?
Yeah, but again, like Jason Segel is in Bad Teacher, right? Remember Justin Timberlake?
24. You say 2014? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Dude, that is way too late for that type of comedy. That is like, I can't believe like that type of movie came out in 2014. That was way past like the age of like inappropriate comedies, R-rated comedies, you know?
Yeah, bad words came out in that time. You're like, wow, they still make these type of movies. Bad Words 2013. It's like wow, like I'm happily surprised that they're doing this, but it kind of seems outdated a little bit, like a little bold, risque. I got the giggles. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Chill out. All right, let's move on. Let's get off this subject.
We gotta get to the trailer roundup.
We just went to House of the Dragon to like Bad Teacher and Sex Tape. Like, come on, let's go to the trailer roundup. All right, so we are approaching awards season. We had trailers for Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. We had Damien Chazelle's Babylon. We had also Steven Spielberg's, not Soderbergh, the Fabelmans. All right, so the big three that we're going to talk about today. Glass Onion, I feel like we should move on with, just because it was the one that came out first out of these three. Babylon came out today. Fabelmans a couple of days ago. What were your impressions on Knives Out? Right, stellar cast. You're talking about Dave Bautista. You're talking Catherine Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Kate Hudson, right? Ethan Hawke's going to be making an appearance. Edward Norton. Stacked cast. Do you think it can live up to the hype of the original Knives Out?
This had game night feels, but it's proven with Knives Out, obviously. So it's legit. Game night, like you didn't know what that was going to be. But this is similar where it's like a game, like who did it? But then it's seriously who did it, you know? So I like that. It's not unique, but it's in that same cleverness feel. And the cast is just so big. It feels, I like this trailer. They introduce you to each of the cast members. And I like that. They each had their own unique spin to it, right? Like Edward Norton, that like crazy look and like that shocked look. You had Dave Bautista in the weird swimsuit with the gun, Leslie Odom Jr. looking fly. What I was just surprised about is that Ethan Hawke, was he in this trailer?
I think he's only in the movie for a cameo.
Right, so he's still my prediction for the first death.
Yeah,
he's still
right.
It's still
he's
my
only
prediction.
A cameo. Yeah,
yeah. And Leslie Odom Jr., he's my prediction for after seeing the trailer to be the murderer.
Wow.
After his talk with Dave Bautista, saying like, "What are you doing with the like?" I don't know. He just seemed like annoyed with Dave Bautista, and like I don't think it's one of the ladies, right? Kate Hudson seems like too scared. Madeline Klein too young. Like I don't know. I got Leslie
Jessica Henwick.
Henwick seems too goofy, like with next to the vase.
Yeah,
you
know,
the only
time I saw her, to be
not
honest.
to spill it. I don't trust her. I trust her that she isn't it. So. Catherine Hahn seems too easy. Catherine Hahn seems too easy. All
right, let's break this down. Yeah, let's try and decide who's the killer after the trailer. It's good. Catherine Hahn, way too easy. Kate Hudson, way too good looking. She's gonna get all the attention.
By the way, she looked terrific, huh? In the swimsuit.
I gotta watch her again. I thought she looked good. I don't know.
Amazing. She's 43.
I thought you said horrific.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I thought you said she looked terrific.
She looks amazing.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Years old.
I thought she stole the show in that trailer, but she's too flashy to be the killer. It'd be such an obvious pick. Catherine Hahn, also too obvious of a pick. Leslie Odom Jr., I like. Edward Norton is probably going to be the first to die because he's the billionaire on the ship. That's probably my
like
take.
that.
And it's too obvious if he's the killer, if he invited everybody over. Jessica Henwick, her being goofy makes me think that she is the killer, potentially. And I think the last Knives Out, it was mostly, I just said I wasn't going to do spoilers, but yeah, I'll save that. It was mostly on one person's shoulders, right? I think it's going to be mostly on potentially Jessica Henwick's shoulders because young up-and-coming actress, and I think also just the fact that she's less seen in the trailer than other main stars. Dave Bautista, like he's not the guy. He's just the guy who's having fun with it. I love the comparison you made to Game Night where it's like, okay, that's when does like the murder mystery start? And then he fires the gun in the air and things like that. I think that is the vibe that's going to make this a very fun movie. I also think it's more modern because I think you have like the billionaire who made money off of, I forgot what they're saying. It's a tech billionaire, right? For Edward Norton. So I feel like Knives Out could have been like a 90s movie if you wanted it to be, right? It didn't have to be like a 2019 movie when it came out. The setting could have been at any point. I think it was perfect in that regard. It's literally timeless in a lot of different ways. Here, I think this is very much a 2022 movie. It makes sense, like moving to Netflix, streaming, okay? And you got tropical location here. Not tropical, but like international location. Looks good. Looks good. I'm not gonna say anything crazy like it's gonna be better than the first one, because the first one I think is a banger. If I had to put money on it, I would say it's gonna be worse. But it does look good.
Yeah, and bigger scale, right? And like you said, like the 90s versus the 90s feel kind of like Clue. Knives Out felt like Clue, and this one feels more like Game Night and bigger scale. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, a little commercialized.
Thermometer predictor?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So the first Knives Out, I think, has like a 96, I want to say. Is that right?
Wow. I'll look it up while you talk.
So I think it's a 96. Here, I think this one's not going to be as timeless. I think the cast, I don't think, is as good, to be honest. Like, Kate Hudson hasn't been in anything worthwhile in a minute. Edward Norton's one of the best actors of his generation. He's going to do great.
Well, he in it for long, though.
That's also a big factor. Dave Bautista is trying to become like more of a legitimate actor. Catherine Hahn seems like she's kind of transforming from this comedic actress to one that's being looked at as legitimate. Leslie Odom Jr., great on Broadway, I believe. He was Hamilton, right? Leslie Odom Jr.
Yeah, One Night in Miami.
One Night in Miami. He is almost like the most prestige on his name alongside Edward Norton. Edward Norton more so than anybody else.
Definitely.
It's going to be less than the original Knives Out. I think it's going to be high 70s. I'm going 78% for Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery.
I think there's a lot on the line. Netflix paid a huge budget, right? A huge budget, and also paid a lot for this movie and also the next one. 97 is what it has on Rotten Tomatoes.
The original?
Yeah, that's pretty wild. That's a lot of high expectations, no matter
that
what.
That makes me want to change my score.
You can't ever, like, even if this is worth like 90s, I don't think it will get 90s, because critics, I think, just like will be like, this isn't nearly as good, so this can't, like, this, no, I can't do it, and then they won't do it. But I just trust this. I trust this franchise as a franchise. I do. I trust these whodunits. You can make them different, but like with one constant, which is Benoit Blanc, who everyone likes. So I'm gonna go 84, but it probably might. But I have aspirations where it should be higher. But 84.
I like that number. I really do like that number. 84 sounds great. I was thinking 85 once I saw the 97%, but I'll stick with the high 70s, because I agree with your original point that if someone's so critically acclaimed, like the sequel, it's got to really live up to it to even match a similar like rating, you know?
Wait, so high 70s, should I say 77, 78, 79?
78. I said 78.
Okay, got it.
All right, next, let's go on to Babylon, right? Damien Chazelle's next film is First Man, back in 2018, starring Ryan Gosling. We have this film starring Margot Robbie in a supporting role, Brad Pitt in a supporting role, Lee Jun Lee in a supporting role alongside Tobey Maguire. And then it's also starring, right, in the lead, Diego Calva, someone who hasn't been a notable lead, right, surrounded by a bunch of A-listers in Hollywood. Film releasing on Christmas Day in theaters. I'm going to lead off with this one because this is my lead for Best Picture. Right. And I said this in previous podcasts before this trailer came out. After seeing this trailer, I've never been more confident this is potentially going to win Best Picture.
Wow.
Out of the three we watched, like even counting the Fabelmans, this one looks like it's a cross between, right, The Wolf of Wall Street and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It looks like it's going to be bonkers. It's going to be off the wall. The only thing I'm not sold on is I don't know anything about Diego Calva. I think Brad Pitt looks amazing in this. It looks like he was born he was a movie star born to play a movie star. Like, I've never seen someone more comfortable in his environment than Brad Pitt in this movie. And then going beyond that, Margot Robbie, like her, like just seeing in this trailer, the idea of her, like, who wants to see me fight a snake? Like, I put my hand up, like, when I'm watching the trailer. Like, I was like, physically, I'm putting my hand up, like, I want to see her fight a snake. It's like a Harley Quinn type move here. She's like if Harley Quinn existed in real life in this freaking trailer. You know, just seems like it's like Harley Quinn in an actual, like, real life setting. And then Diego Calva, we'll see what happens. Tobey Maguire is supposed to be playing Charlie Chaplin, I believe, in this movie. I don't know if that's
in the trailer.
So we basically saw him for a brief moment here. I love myself some Tobey Maguire. I love that he's in a Damien Chazelle project, coming off No Way Home. That shows me he knows the industry. You know, I would love Tobey Maguire somehow, late in his career, to somehow go beyond this, keep racking up roles, and then all of a sudden gets his Best Supporting Oscar nomination. I would love something like that for his career. You know, that'd be cool. But this movie looks off the walls. It looks bonkers, and it looks like, and I talk about winning an Oscar. We know like the Academy loves movies based on Hollywood, right? This looks like it's early days Hollywood. It's very stylistic. It's flashy. Okay. And it has Oscar nominees and Oscar winners in it, you know? So this is definitely up there for me for contenders. What do you think of Babylon?
I'll save my Oscar Best Picture prediction because of what you said, because you are right. But I think what hurts it is also because it has that Wolf of Wall Street, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood feel. I feel like this will be our favorite movie of the year, similar to like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right? And like, yeah, you could argue, will it be the best? Like, maybe it is the best and the most fun and the best complementary of fun and best, right? So that's our best and favorite movie of the year. But I just don't think the Academy will look at it that way versus another movie that's about making movies, The Fabelmans, that looks incredible. And again, I said I won't talk about it, but I think that's my runner now.
I think this is the one. I think this is one versus the other, in my opinion. These are my top two. But I will say, Babylon, why is it different like Wolf of Wall Street, right? Wolf of Wall Street, a lot of people are like, okay, Scorsese, like a main white, like a white lead, DiCaprio, and like critique on capitalism. It's been done before, right? Greed, this is that. We're getting an old story in Hollywood, but also Diego Calva, I think, is an interesting aspect to this movie. First generation immigrant, most likely, okay, alongside Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt, right? Seeing this story of old Hollywood with a first generation immigrant, that's kind of interesting to see, right? That's like a story on old Hollywood that hasn't been told before. And I think that can actually be a benefit to this movie. But we are about to talk about The Fabelmans. I just want to get your thoughts on that regard, how this one is kind of like almost is more appealing to like the Academy compared to like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a Tarantino. And then also the fact that Chazelle is doing this, and Chazelle has been a fan favorite since Whiplash, La La Land. First Man didn't perform as well, but still, it's nominated for Oscars because Chazelle is such a visionary. I think he got something special in the works here, and I think he's crafted a story that makes it appealing for a Best Picture race.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the immigrant storyline, because especially with the Oscars, like the Oscars are white, right? Like campaign, and everyone always complaining about how white the Oscars are. This is a movie about movies, and what better way to promote the Oscars than a movie about movies, and then also the immigrant aspect of it. I could see it winning Best Picture just on the political aspect as well. Not just also because it looks amazing. I was surprised how raunchy it was. Like Brad Pitt was basically Cliff Booth, but drunk.
Unrated trailer. An unrated
trailer. Yeah, a lot of partying. That one scene just dominated the trailer. That was half the 3-minute trailer. That's kind of wild to me. And the other thing I was going to say is that was surprising, that we didn't see a lot of this cast in the trailer. They focused on the stars. They focused on Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, and then obviously Diego Calva, who's the protagonist here, one of the protagonists. They didn't mention, or they showed one thing of Tobey Maguire. Okay. They didn't show Jeff Garlin. They didn't show Eric Roberts, who's Maroni in The Dark Knight. They didn't show Flea. They didn't show Spike Jonze. like they didn't show a lot of people. Olivia Wilde, they didn't show Olivia Wilde. So it's interesting.
I honestly had no idea a lot of those people were in the movie.
Oh, well, and there's more. There's more too. It's just like they didn't show, they focused on the stars, and I love that because that's like, to me, that's saying this is an ensemble movie. This is an Oscar movie, potentially winning a bunch of Oscars, not just best pictures, but performances. Margot Robbie. Like I like that.
I do think if you want to talk about detraction from it potentially winning best picture, it's the blockbuster appeal that you talked about earlier. How many Oscar best picture winners have an unrated trailer that's released before the Oscar?
Good point. Good point.
So that makes me think it leans more towards Wolf of Wall Street vibe than it does maybe a Mank, you know?
Crap, you're right. But
that lends to your point, not mine.
I know, but again, like I'm rooting for Babylon. It's not like I'm not. Like this looks awesome.
I want to see Brad Pitt. Like, what if Brad Pitt just doubles up, bro? Like he finally gets his Oscar, and then like he like doubles down on playing like in like old Hollywood type of movie star. I know he was only a stunt double once upon a time in Hollywood, but this seems like more up his alley, where he's just like he's almost playing like how he would be at parties if you go back 50 years ago, 40 years ago.
Like watching it and wearing that type of suit, it reminded me of Aldo Rain and how he was just an alpha, dominated the room. He might not even fit in the room like Aldo Rain, but he does in this. Clearly, like you mentioned, he was meant to play this part. But it's just like a glorified Cliff Booth with the Aldo Rain alpha mentality. I think it's perfect. I really do. And I would think that, I actually think that if he didn't win an Oscar if he still didn't have an Oscar in his bag right now,
we went for this one.
I think this might be the one that we would be saying like, oh, he should win the Oscar for this.
What if he just starts racking up Oscars at the back end of his career? Just starts racking them, you know?
I would love
like he finally gets his one and then he just keeps on winning. That'd be cool to see. We were big Brad Pitt fans on the pod. And then let's move on naturally to your best picture favorite.
Thermometer?
Whoa, thermometer. Forgot we're doing this. All right. It's gonna be at 95% for me. It's gonna be a banger. It's going to be great. Chazelle, I don't think it's ever been less than 88, 87% on the thermometer. You know, if I got to think about First Man, it's probably his lowest, I would say. And here you have a star-studded cast. It's going to be hard to dislike this movie. Unless the only way it could go haywire is the writing. And if it's kind of like if it's as chaotic as the movie actually looks on screen at points, it could be kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm going with a 95.
Yeah, I trust Chazelle. He's writing this as well. I trust him as well to put it all together. But yeah, I have a feeling that it might get a little chaotic at times and raunchy, where some critics that might not like that, right? So I'm not going to put it as high as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is also raunchy, but it's Tarantino. You know, Chazelle's still working his way, even though he has a great resume right now. He's not at the Tarantino respect level. So I'm going to go 92, but again, this is another one where I could see being better than that based on our levels, but the critics just like kind of take it down a little bit based on like just what it is.
Good points. Good points. That's fun conversation. Now we move on to another best picture contender with the Fabelmans. Your number one, apparently. We had the first trailer for Steven Spielberg's semi-autobiographical film. All right. It was released. Stars the likes of Paul Dano, Michelle Williams, Seth Rogen. Okay. So the film releases November 11th in theaters. Okay. Currently has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes with 28 reviews. So we're a little late on the thermometer predictor here. But Ricky Flicks, why is this a contender for Best Picture based on the trailer?
This is scary good. This looks scary good. One thing I'll just say off the top, it does look a little slow. It's a family drama. So yeah, it has that. Similar to Armageddon Time, but more interesting because it's still about making movies. So I think the slowness factor will be canceled off from that. Now, going to the actual trailer, holy crap, this cast, they look like everyone's in their bag for this. Paul Dano was meant to play a disgruntled father, like not accepting of who Steven Spielberg is as a kid, wanting to make movies. Perfect for that. Michelle Williams, I'm thinking Blue Valentine. This is what the role reminds me of, her in this, and she killed it in Blue Valentine. This looks, arguably, she looks better in this. Everyone is perfect for their roles. I can't wait to see Julia Butters. We just talked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was the girl in that. She's also in this. I can't wait to see her in
Well,
that.
she was
And,
in what else was she in? What's the other one? Not Red Notice. What was the Netflix movie? Gray Man.
The Gray Man. Yes. And Judd Hirsch, who's like the father. You know, he's in the Uncut Gems as the father to right the Jewish. So yeah, that and
Succession, right? Same guy? No, sorry, that's the
no,
other guy. That's the villain.
but
I know you're talking about.
but this is what I wanted to lead up to. I said all those people first before this person. We just talked about Brad Pitt supporting, possibly Seth Rogen. This is looking promising for him.
We just got like a second of him in this trailer.
I know, but the look and that again, he's playing the uncle, limited screen time, but meaningful screen time, similar
It's
to
Affleck.
Yes, or Kieran Hines in Belfast. Like that's what I'm thinking of when I saw that. I'm like, that's Kieran Hines in Belfast.
Affleck and what's the movie called?
Tender Bar.
I thought he was awesome.
That's a good shout. I personally thought of Kieran Hines Belfast, but I like that shout because he's younger. But I'm like, could he Oscar nom?
Jonah Hill joins the club with Jonah. Yeah,
like I don't think he'll win him, but I'm just saying, could he get that off his back? Like, he's not trying. I'm saying, like, I was just like, holy crap, like maybe again, not a lot of screen time, but this movie, the thing that holds me back again, not just the slowness, but from it winning Best Picture, is because it's about the guy that's actually making the movie. And will they just give it to Steven Spielberg? They didn't give it, like West Side Story did nothing at the Oscar. Yeah, and that was amazing.
Except for
Kushner and Spielberg also writing here. Oh, you're right. But Kushner and Spielberg back together here. Like also about coming up in America post World War II. Like that's also like that screams to me Oscars as well. So this is my new leader in the clubhouse.
I'm nervous. It's a little too vanilla. That's what I'm saying. When I look at Babylon, I look at this movie. I think it's a little too vanilla. I'm not saying it's to be bad. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if you're looking for something a little more energetic, more my style, I'm looking for Babylon. Fabelmans, though, I think if I'm looking at this movie, you're talking about award aspirations. Michelle Williams is going to be nominated, and she might win. It's like talking about that creative mother inspiring what would become of Steven Spielberg, autobiographical type of story. Paul Dano, I think one day he will win an Oscar. I'll tell you that. I'm going to tell you, like, I don't think it's going to be nominated or anything for this role. Maybe a late nomination or unexpected one. It might be one where he's like not even touched for the Golden Globes and somehow gets an Oscar nom, you know?
Like our Pump Boy last year.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect comparison. Very subdued performance compared to like the rest of the cast. Who's playing basically the Spielberg role? Who's playing the young kid? You know,
Gabriel LaBelle.
Okay, so I'm interested in seeing what he does in the future. Spielberg usually hits it when it comes to young actors. He rarely misses in that regard. So we'll see. I do think it's going to be amazing. I do. I just think after seeing this trailer, and then I watched Babylon right after. I was always going to be like on Team Babylon, but and this debuts so well on Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't know. Is that monkey story true for Spielberg?
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing. How
it felt so out of place.
Yeah,
it better be true.
Yeah, again, like he wrote it, he's directing it. I can't see anything being too far fetched, so that had to be true. But I'll just go back to this like as why I think it's my best picture leader is that I'm with you. I like movies that are more energetic and like what we were talking about with Babylon. Like I bet I would like Babylon better than this, to be honest. Like personal favorite. But why this is like my leader in the clubhouse is because it's less raunchy, it's more vanilla, and Spielberg proven
more of the Academy.
And like has Spielberg Schindler's List, right? Best picture.
Ever heard of it?
But besides that. Since not much Oscar, like no Oscar wins since then, right?
Seems like he's finding himself a little bit here too, you know, like West Side Story, always want to make a musical, finds one of his favorite movies and like somehow makes it better. And now we go semi-autobiographical. Just seems like it's lining up well for him, especially after Schindler's List. What was that, 94, 95? right? We're
94.
talking almost 20 years late. Over almost 30 years later. Jesus.
But like, think about it. Like 99, right? That's the Shakespeare in Love year where he gets Best Director, but not Best Picture, and he hasn't won anything since. So it's been over 20 years. It's time.
Yeah, no, I 100% think it is, and I wouldn't be surprised like if he wins. And this seems like one he definitely like. He's got if he's not the favorite for Best Picture, he's the favorite for Best Director. It seems like it's like almost like it's set in the
Like
stars,
that.
like it's going to happen. Good points, and I do like the take on Seth Rogen. I want to see the next trailer, see how much he's in. And it seemed because I know Spielberg has made it clear that he had a tight relationship with his uncle. He had a distant relationship with his father.
Exactly.
That makes it. Then we talk about like when we talk about Armageddon time. What the Academy looks for is that older person, younger person type of relationship makes Anthony Hopkins' role so appealing and so Oscar baity. You're gonna have Seth Rogen, the older right uncle with the younger kid. That's going to make that like looking at that dynamic usually becomes very emotional, very powerful type of storytelling. I think that Seth Rogen could be in a good position here. I would love if Seth Rogen got an Oscar nomination. That'd be sick. That'd be cool.
Once we have like all these trailers lined up for Oscar seasons, we're close now, right? Like we've gotten, I think, all of them really that are going to be like Oscar contenders. I think we need maybe another one for this one and a couple others. We got to do an Oscars preview, like a prediction pod.
Oh yeah, no,
all these
we'll do it
movies.
sooner rather than later. I would love a couple movies to come out though, and this is
Like
one of the rare. I was gonna say this is one of the rare Oscar seasons where we have some contenders that actually came out in May, June, and then we had a very obsolete summer. When you think of like Austin Butler and Elvis, you think about Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? Like that potential there. I think even The Northman was afterwards, right? That's not going to be in contention. That's not in contention. It's not going to be.
Yeah, no.
But I'm just thinking of other movies that came out that we will consider, or like ones that we will, when it comes to like the DEPAs, the Driving Pod Awards, we will be talking about, right?
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. I'm looking at our movie schedule for the past year. Yeah, like Oscar wise, it's pretty weak.
It's grim. We didn't see
weak.
much, bro. We didn't review much because nothing really came out that was worth talking about.
Yeah, so like I'm thinking like yeah, this weekend we talked about Woman King, see how they
Blonde.
won. That's okay. And then next weekend is Don't Worry Darling. That's not looking likely. So maybe before Blonde on September 28th, because Ana de Armas is looking, Marilyn Monroe. That's an Oscar bait there.
If it's NC-17, is it even eligible? Is it eligible?
Maybe the performance. I don't know. Maybe
I don't know how that works. I don't think we're not well versed in.
But I still think. But then the weekend after that's Amsterdam, David O. Russell. So I feel like we have to do it that weekend.
Screw that movie. I'm not looking forward to that movie as much as I love Christian Bale.
Yeah, well, it's the end of September. Oscar season starts in October. Really, like I feel like, yeah, that's time to make a predictions pod.
All right. Where do you think? So we already know Fabelman 96% Rotten Tomatoes. I do want. I can't get my mind off like your take on Seth Rogen before we go on to like our official thermometer predictor. Like he's kind of gone. I feel like he was on this path. Like when we find out he's playing Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs with Michael Fassbender, like he was on that road, and then I think that was like 2015, if I'm correct. The next year he's making Sausage Party. Like what? Like Seth Rogen, and he's been working on The Boys. Like it seems like he's on that path where it's like, okay, he's done The Prestige, right, with Steve Jobs. He's gone on the filmmaking side. He's also a showrunner for The Boys. It seems like he is now so ingrained in show business and whether it's shows or movies that I would see this lining up for him. Honestly, I just can't get out of my head. I had to say that. Rotten Tomatoes wise, thermometer predictor. Let's take it out. Where does the Fabelmans end? Does it go higher or lower than 96?
It sucks that we already saw the thermometer predictor because after seeing this trailer, yeah, it's high 90s for me. I don't think how any critic cannot like this movie. I I kind of like 96, but I don't want to say the same thing. So I'll go higher and risk it. I'll go 98.
Yeah, so that no shot that's happening, but it shows like your devotion for like this movie. You think it's
I
gonna
like
go
96,
higher?
but I'm not going to say it.
I'll say 93 just because it's cheating. But like, yeah, no. But like, I love that you're you're just doubling down. You're like, yeah. It's only gonna get better, baby. 96, yeah, it's gonna finish at 98. Like, very few movies have gone on to win Best Picture that are like 98% of Rotten Tomatoes. It's usually almost like a sign of like, yeah, maybe it's probably not as good as you think it is. But like here, it's like, no, it is. You know,
double
All
down,
right.
baby.
That's gonna do it for episode 146 of the Drive-In Podcast. Make sure you are tuning into our feed. If you have not tuned in to our D23 recap, top billing, make sure that you've done so, right? By listening after this podcast. Make sure you're following wherever you're listening. Rate us 5 stars, leave a review. Make sure you're also following us on all of our social channels to keep up with the latest movie news at the Drive-In Pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you're watching on YouTube, okay, make sure that you are subscribing. Ricky Flex is waving to you right now. Ricky Flex, say something so they can see you.
Dumb 11 is no more. We don't want it.
Okay. Thank you, Ricky Flex. All right. I'm glad we almost recovered after that hilarious moment earlier in the podcast that will be clipped. All right. For Ricky Flex and Dr. O, that's going to do it for episode 146 of the Drive-In Podcast. Until next time, we will smell ya.